We've all been there. You spend days or even weeks planning out every shot, trying to make sure that when you get your rolls of film back from the lab, that you've got fantastic works of art. Or in my case, they wind up always being hot garbage. But then the waiting starts. We wait and we wait and we wait, and our negatives come back, and then there's that moment of anticipation when you finally click the link from the lab or you open up the pack of prints, and then lo and behold, something went wrong and your images look like crap. The very first post that an aspiring, newly minted film photographer will make is, which film stock is the best? But the second one is, what in the heck is wrong with my images? In this video, I'm gonna diagnose almost everything that you can do wrong to a roll of film, and we're gonna try to figure out how you done it and what may be some solutions. Let's get into it. So let's start with the basic stuff. Underexposure. You get your images back from the lab and they're all just a little bit dark. The colors are muddy, the resolution isn't high, you've lost detail in shadows. This is a pretty easy one to figure out. Somewhere along the way, you just didn't give your film enough light. And then there's overexposure. Overexposure occurs when your film just got too much light, and that can be for a number of reasons. You metered the shot wrong, you input the settings into the camera wrong, you forgot to change it from ISO 100 to ISO 800 when you changed films. Any number of those kinds of things can lead to your film getting too much light and everything starts to look washed out, too wide, no detail in the highlights, all that kind of stuff. And then another basic one, and this is obstructions. And this can come in a number of different forms, usually for me in the form of my big fat thumb getting right in front of the camera lens. Another way this can occur though is dust or mold or fungus or anything like that just obstructing the film plane. And the solution here is pretty simple. You just clean your stuff up. There's perhaps nothing more disappointing than getting the message back from the lab that you have a blank roll. And there's a number of things that could have went wrong here. This could be an issue with the lab or an issue with your camera or the way that you're winding your film or the way that you loaded your film. And there are different things that you can look for to figure out what's what. Like for example, when you look at the negatives, was the leader developed? If the leader was developed properly, that suggests something was wrong with the camera because the lab did their part. However, if there are no edge markings, that could be a couple of different things too. It can mean that nothing was developed, or it can mean that you're shooting one of Kodak's movie film stocks that don't have edge markings as frequently. But that's really situational, and that's something to look out for. Another issue that you can have is green tint or washed out scan. Green tint usually comes from the scanner trying to show detail that just isn't there. If you're not satisfied with the scans that you get, that's something that maybe you can edit later and correct. The potential causes of this green tint though, or washed out looking scans, can come from a couple of different things. Could be that the camera is used in inappropriate conditions. A lot of times this can happen with those disposable or quasi-disposable cameras. They shoot really narrow apertures and everything's in focus, but they don't do well in low light. Could be something like that. Could be that your camera has a faulty shutter, faulty aperture, has incorrect ISO value that you input. There are lots of reasons that you can end up with that. What about orange and white marks on your film? This is a pretty common one, and this is usually just light leaks. These marks typically mean that light has reached your film in an out-of-control way. With standard color negative film, an orange mark typically comes from behind the film, and white comes from in front. Potential causes here are the decaying light seals inside your camera, cracks on the camera body, damaged shutter blades, curtains, improper film handling, opening the back of the camera and rewinding the canister, and there are a number of other less common reasons as well. What about camera fogging? Fogging manifests as fading and discoloration of the film surface similar to a light leak. However, unlike a light leak that comes from a concentrated spot, fogging occurs across the whole surface of the film consistently. The reasons why you can get this type of fogging are due to heat damage, the aging of film, or accidental exposure to light during shooting conditions. What about solid black marks? This is another one you'll see pretty often. These marks appear because the two curtains on the front of the camera shutter are overlapping when they should be letting light through, right? It can't shoot through the solid backing of the shutter. And this is most likely to happen at faster shutter speeds, but the long and short of this one is that your camera is going to need worked on because you've got a problem with your shutter. What about black regions with some or little detail? And this comes from flash desync. If you're someone like me who lots of times uses flash for studio portraits, that type of thing, if your flash gets out of sync with your camera, you can end up with these weird black areas. What about these really interesting lightning marks? And this is not an issue I've ever had, but I think that these kind of look cool. But this happens due to static buildup inside your camera. Maybe you rewound the film too fast, the automatic film advanced too fast, or there's too much friction between the film and the felt mouth of the canister. But anyway, all that's to say that if you get those lightning bolt flashes onto your film, it's not Voldemort, it's actually static electricity. What about white or green lines and these weird patterns? And this is something I have had with a roll that I shot around Christmas time a few years ago. These are stress marks from your film being flexed too tightly. These appear when the base of the film has been stretched more than its elastic limit. This can happen when you're rewinding backwards or winding too hard at the end of the roll, or forgetting to press the rewind release button, which is what I think I did in my infinite wisdom. How about thin straight lines? Well, these are just scratches, and these scratches happen when your film rubs against dirt or grit, or it's touching something inside the camera that maybe it ought not, or it's touching something inside the camera that maybe it shouldn't. It can happen from dirt on the canister lip, dirt on the pressure plate, dirt on the rollers. It could be the squeegee that your lab's using, dragging dirt across the frame as well. And here's another issue that I've had before, and this is opening your film in the middle of the roll. The impact of opening a camera mid-roll is evident in the scanned images. Large blocks displaying discoloration. The cause of this is you popped your camera open before you should have, for one reason or the other, and you saw something that your eye should never see, and that's your previously unexposed film. I say previously because it's not that way anymore. Did this once, didn't like it, won't do it again. What if your frame looks like it's split unevenly? Well, this could be due to a camera advance malfunction. What it looks like though is some of the next frame is in the previous frame image. It looks like if you got kind of two split images on the same frame. It also can be that the opposite is true, that you've got two images that are spread out a little too far. Long and short of it is this: there's a problem with your camera and the way that it's advancing the film, and you need to have it CL8 if that's possible. And if not, you'll need to do the deep dive yourself and see if you can sort out the issue. Unfortunately though, that's a topic outside the scope of this video and my abilities. And another cause of lines across your image is also scanning lines. Scan lines occur when dust or dirt particles obstruct the film scanning equipment during the scanning process, resulting in visible lines on the scanned image. Another one that you may run into is what looks like little water spots across your frame. And this one should be pretty obvious. It's water damage. It has a distinctly liquid look, including irregular waves, speckled patterns, large blank splotches, and extreme discoloration. Water damage occurs when the film comes in contact with moisture, duh. And it leads to various effects such as irregular waves, like we said. How you fix this? Don't let your film get in contact with water, dog. And another one, and this one actually looks kind of cool, is these weird wave patterns. And this is more organized. The waves are much more organized than the water damage. And this comes from X-ray damage. X-ray damage occurs when a film is exposed to electromagnetic radiation, commonly encountered when traveling by plane and subjecting your film to X-ray scanners used for luggage screening. Higher ISO films, though, are more uniquely affected by this problem. And the solution to this is just have TSA hand check your film as you pass through the airport. Well, that's not everything that can go wrong with your film, but that's a whole bunch of it. If you thought this video was cool, check out this video where I show you 50 cool cameras for under $50. As always though, guys, thanks for watching.